Welcome everyone to the Realm Walker podcast, where we compare and contrast the many similarities and differences of our favorite fantasy and sci-fi universes. Whether it's a simple walk to Mordor or at high speeds across the galaxy, I am your host Jake, and I am joined with my crew members, the ones that have been pretty elusive to find for quite a bit, at least one of them has, with CJ.
Hello everyone.
And Ethan.
Hello, everyone. It is so great to be back. It's been far too long.
It has been a while. You may have thought that we were dead, but we are rising from the grave right now like a zombie, which is very appropriate because we're talking about zombies today. I planned this. I was really excited to say this one.
We're not rising like phoenixes. No.
We're rising like zombies,
no, please,
especially.
Don't worry, folks. We are dead. We're dead, just on the inside.
The pause there. It's like, we're dead. And then just nothing. Well.
That's even better than what I said. Never mind. That's even funnier. I said we were dead on the inside. That's not a bug. That's a feature.
We're dead. That's it. There's nothing after that. We're just dead. But yes, today...
Roll credits.
All right, that should be the end of the episode right there. But anyway, We're going to be talking about zombies, and yes, I'm very sorry that it took so long because this motherfucker CJ has been eluding us for quite some time, and also myself and Nathan, we've been busy as well. I've been moving into a new apartment. CJ has been traveling quite a bit. Ethan, you've just kind of been doing your own thing.
I went on vacation.
You did. We each had some personal just busy shit that we were doing. So, but now we're back, and we're going to be back with I imagine a little bit longer of an episode as well, because we got some stuff to talk about, because we're talking about zombies. I originally wanted to get this video out before 28 years later, because it would have been right on time. Yeah, well, you know. And then the movie came out, and it wasn't that great, to be honest. But to go ahead and talk a little bit more.
I saw that while I was in the Philippines.
Well, you never saw the first one, did you? Did you see the first two?
I've seen the first one because I distinctly remember a scene of the one. Was it crow? Was it a crow? Was it a blackbird with a droplet of blood dropping into the guy's eye? And I distinctly remember that. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the first movie. But I have not seen 28 Weeks Later.
Okay, Weeks Later is also
the first
pretty
one,
good.
yes.
Yeah, 28 Days Later is the first one, 28 Weeks Later, and then goes on from there. But anyway,
it's so rare for us to get an absolute 10 out of 10 trailer, like years did, and then okay.
I mean, it's like the Dawn of War 3 trailer.
Okay, so here's the thing: when it comes to cinematic trailers for games, I am immediately jaded against them. I do not trust them for a New York minute. For a movie, it's different, though.
That is true. The thing about cinematic trailers are supposed to look good because they are putting all their best foot forward on that one. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about
yes.
To start off. Let's go ahead and classify what we mean when we're talking about zombies, because I guess we're going to be technically breaking the rule a little bit. So, zombies across all media are usually as follows. They are a revived corpse, usually a corpse that is risen from the dead, and it only has the want to hunger to eat, basically, and to spread its virus.
The very basic, yes.
Yeah, in the
even
basic
to spread
sense.
The virus isn't even potentially a want, because how do you know what goes on in a zombie's mind?
Yeah,
precisely. It could be more so that the zombie just is hungering to feed and overrides basic human instinct. Sometimes it's the virus itself overriding, and that's the only way it can spread, and it's a mixture of a virus-parasite combo.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going, because there's a different... Continue.
But yeah, it usually comes down with someone who is usually dead, and they have risen back up, they turn gray, and they're a shambling corpse where their only thing, whether they're aware of it or not, is just to bite, eat, consume, and spread even more zombies. And in most cases, since we're going to be going ahead and starting with the classic case, which is going to be Romero zombies. Because George A. Romero, he is the one, while he may not have been the first one, he is the one that popularized the concept of zombies as a horror monster. This whole idea of just this mass epidemic with Night of the Living Dead and just spreading all the way across, and just how catastrophic it can be. Because in like a natural sense, zombies are pretty impossible of a thing just from that sense alone. Because when someone is dead, when the brain functions are off, they're not getting back up. Nothing's
No,
really,
you would have to require a second brain to be planted to override and sync with the nervous system in order to be able to actually, and then send electrical impulses through the body and make the heart start beating. It's a massively complex Rube Goldberg machine and hoops to jump through in order to actually get a biological system up and running again.
But despite
Well, it's like
that,
they kind of touched on it and explained it a little bit in some of the earlier seasons of The Walking Dead, where they showed. I distinctly remember them showing a video of it was an X-ray video of I believe it was someone that got infected, and then it kind of showed things reactivating. So obviously, like you said, but I know that they. In some forms of media, they actually go into the science of how it happens, how things get jump started again, so to speak. Because obviously there are people who've died on a operating table, and then have come back because of a what do you want to call
Defibrillator?
it? Defibrillator, yeah, where their
I've been watching a lot of House.
Their heart
lately,
is jump
so,
started. Yeah.
and
but that is less the defibrillator. What it does is that it sends an electrical impulse which forces the muscles to constrict. That's what people don't know, is that you being sent back is not the force of the lightning bolt. It's the force of your own muscles constricting in such a way that forces you backwards. You are quite literally jumping backwards with zero mental limiters that hold you back. That's what a lot of people don't know, is that a lot of strength in general is limited by mentality. Whereas if you are put in a situation where you have no mental limitations, your strength is doubled, tripled, quadrupled even. So when a defibrillator is activated on a heart, it constricts the muscles and forces blood to flow through the body and into the brain, typically giving it a second wind, for lack of a better term.
So in a sense,
There, Grey's Anatomy.
Well, he said, you just mentioned he's been watching House. Yeah,
I'm watching House. I watch House. I'm cultured. Thank you.
Yeah, the true autistic doctor.
I'm not watching Good Doctor. Yeah, I'm not watching that nonsense. No, I'm watching Doctor House. If you guys want a great workout, here's what you do, free of charge. Every time House makes a racist or insensitive comment to his staff or patients, you do 10 push-ups. Next time you do 10 sit-ups, then 10 squats, and then you loop back around. There's your workout.
You're gonna be ripped. But going back to that, we can go ahead and say that, like, usually the viruses, and this was going to go into play, is that the whole zombie infections and zombie stories are very fantastical. No matter how grounded you want it to be, no matter how much you want to say, you want to avoid using the word zombie, Neil, it's always going to be fantastical in a sense. And I'm looking at like what caused the virus in Night of the Living Dead 1968. Apparently it's not really explicitly stated, but it's implied to be something from a space probe returning from Venus. So even back then, they were going like fantastical shit when it came down to it.
Well, it doesn't matter. Most of the time, it doesn't matter what causes it. What matters that, oh no, this is a zombie apocalypse. This is arguably like the worst case scenario for a planet's population.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to talk about like zombies actually being a thing, they are found in insects in a sense.
Yeah, and
I wonder where you're going with that.
Well, also like rabies is a form of infection, and then we can also talk a little bit about that too, because like in a technical sense, even though they are still put in the same genre, like there's zombie movies, but then there's also like infected. And this is where we can get into a little bit more of like slow versus fast zombies. Because
Correct.
With very traditional Romero zombies, they're going to be slow, they shamble, they're pretty easy to kind of outmaneuver because they're rotting corpses. They're not going to move that fast. It makes sense why
they don't have
move that
full
fast.
motor control. control. They're barely functional.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of the thing. Well, that's the thing about zombies in general. One zombie is really not a problem. They're not really going to be that big of a problem. You see a zombie, it's one zombie, you can outrun them, you can stab them, keep them away, one shot to the head, one stab at the head, anything like that, that's going to take them out. The problem is that there's usually not just one zombie. There's
never just one zombie. And God forbid, CJ, you know what I'm talking about. God forbid they have a bucket on their head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
God forbid. I will talk about
I
Plants
got that
vs.
instantly.
Zombies. I will be talking about Plants vs. Zombies.
Oh, I'm excited to talk about that. We can definitely talk about that. We have a lot of, because there's zombie media. Well, I also will want to go ahead and talk about just the influence of zombie media in general, because like from like 2006 to 2011, I'm sure you guys remember, that's when zombies were at
don't
their,
remind me.
That was like it was too much.
It was not just 5 years. It was not 5 years. It was long.
Well, it was longer, but that was when the hype.
Into the mid to 2010s.
Yeah, I'm with CJ on this one. It was longer than that, dog.
Yeah, well, it was
because we had Dead Island, we had the sequels to Dead Space, we had
Left 4 Dead,
we had Left 4 Dead, we had
Last of Us, Walking Dead. God, everyone watched Walking Dead, and I didn't.
Yeah, Walking Dead was like COD zombies was a big thing too. Like
oh yeah, that was COD's peak.
COD zombies came out, and then every game had needed to have like a zombie mode. There was like even games that didn't have anything to do with zombies, they had zombie modes just because it was the popular thing to do. Everyone was doing it. Same thing with movies. You had movies that were like taking it seriously. You had movies that were taking it more on a parody sense, which that's another thing I want to go ahead and talk about. But we'll get to that when we talk about the storytelling of zombie flicks a little bit more. But so the whole concept. Dying Light, yeah, there you go. I never really got.
When did Dying Light come out?
It was the same company that made Dead Island. I think it was like a year or two after Dead Island.
Dead Island, I want to say is like 2009, 2010, so probably like what 2012, because Dying Light came out also for the PS4.
It was 2015 for Linux, PS4, Windows, and Xbox One.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and they have like some special cases of zombies, but
it's apparently really good.
Going back to like what we were saying before, like classic Romero zombies, they follow the tropes. They're the original idea of slow, shambling. They rise from the dead and they hunger and they spread their infection. And this whole story with whole like zombie movies, it always comes down to either one or a group of survivors that are trying to survive this epidemic. And in most cases, like we were saying before, a single zombie isn't a problem. A horde of them, especially in a mall, because they always go to the fucking mall. Which, I mean, it makes sense.
They always do go to malls.
It makes sense because, like, you know, a lot of people are at malls. You know, that's where a lot of shit's gonna happen.
It's congested.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to escape. Yeah.
There's also a lot of stuff you can find at a mall for survival.
Yeah, like it's kind of grab whatever
Honestly,
you can find.
A fresh pair of clothes and a fresh set of clothes and shoes is enough to warrant stopping by and looking inside.
Yeah, and it's all that idea, but like we can also go ahead and talk about like what are the inspirations that kind of have led on from George A. Romero's idea of zombies and gone forward, because we can also talk about The Walking Dead. So we can also talk about like what exactly like the zombies are trying to do, because they're always trying to like bite and spread the infection as much as they can, and it's always like a fight for survival within these stories that can sometimes go on for like maybe a month, maybe a day. Sometimes it'll be contained within an area, and sometimes it'll spread throughout like the entire country or the entire world, and it's like, well, this is life now, we just have to adapt to it.
Well, it's like the 28 years later universe is kind of the best. Well, I shouldn't say best for the UK, but that's one time where everything's contained. It is contained on the British Isles. Like it is there. The governments of the world have blockaded it. Nothing's getting on, nothing's getting off. That's one of the few times you can add that I've seen in media where they've actually successfully kept it contained.
Yeah, and there are a few cases of it, like in the classic case, in terms of like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, that type of thing, because the thing is that those movies do end, and they do end up having like a whole they do end up having like a save the day type of moment where they contain it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, well, shit. I mean, a lot of this stuff kind of happened, and now we don't really know what caused it, and now we just have to make sure it doesn't happen again, and then it happens again.
It happens again.
Yeah, but it also kind of goes into a little bit of the sense of when there was, because I think this also happened when we were talking about like that year, that 5 year kind of stretch where zombies were everywhere, because there was a lot of cases where there was media that took it seriously, and then there was media that did not take it seriously. Because there's a lot of like parody movies that make fun of the whole idea of an apocalypse. Like Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite movies, and it's a perfect parody that kind of makes fun while also being just a great zombie movie in general.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't
it's
seen Shaun of the Dead.
especially it's. I think it's mostly because the comedy duo that are in it, because you have if memory serves me correctly, it's the same two actors from Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, it is. It's the same. I think it's the same creators.
Yeah, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. So it's like when you just get the right actors together, it just everything goes well right after. Everything falls into place.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, Simon Pegg's goated.
yeah. That's another great movie. But because even like a lot of the same creators, even for games, because we can also talk a little bit about games as well, because like Resident Evil is another classic case of zombies, because whenever the zombies first appear in like that first initial infection, that's when the mass panic really rises for people. And it forces like a lot of people, when you're forced in like a fight or flight situation, it brings out the true colors of society in a way. And that's usually the point with a lot of zombie media, which gets a little annoying at times, admittedly. But that's kind of the whole point, is that when you take away the basic laws that society usually abides to, what do people become in order to survive? And
Well, in a lot of ways, it depends on the person, because in a lot of those medias, you'll have the people that are selfish, that are only out for themselves, that will do anything to survive, and then the people who want to still band together that retain their humanity and still want to make sure that, okay, this person is injured. We don't have too many. We don't have too much in the way of medicine. We don't have too many antibiotics. I still want to take care of them regardless.
yeah, and that's kind of the
And those
main.
people typically end up dying first.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the thing, is that's more of like what they want to show, is that they want to show it's about holding on to your humanity in a way, especially if this is one of those cases like a Walking Dead situation or a Last of Us, where this is just the way that life is now. Sometimes it can just take a toll on people a lot, because there's always that romanticism of like, oh yeah, zombie apocalypse, I totally be the badass that walks in and like can like take out zombies. You are fucking wrong.
No.
If anyone who has played Project Zomboid, you know the mental toll and the amount of work that you would have to do to survive an apocalypse like this, even with slow shambling zombies, is astronomical.
It's
Yeah,
it's
you
awful.
better hope that you end up in like that you were born and raised and stayed in a village of like 200 people.
Exactly.
Right?
And you're just like looking over like, the fuck they doing over there?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
love that image of the cat so much, just on its hind legs in the snow. What are they doing over there?
Do you think that's Hawaii in the Walking Dead universe? Like, the fuck they doing over there?
Question, like, I haven't read much Walking Dead. Has it spread globally? Yes.
It does. Yeah, well, in terms of the comics, because the comics only take place in Georgia and Atlanta,
Okay.
and like the
Atlanta's in Georgia.
yeah, I meant to say Atlanta, Georgia, whatever.
Oh, okay.
But it usually takes place in that kind of region of the states. I know the shows, there's like multiple shows, because it takes place in Georgia. Then we go to California. There's so many fucking shows of The Walking Dead now. It's like, where are all these zombies coming from, man? Like, I think it's been like 15 years now. You know what? We can also go ahead and talk about the problems with zombie media, but it's been like 15 fucking years and there's still this many zombies. Like, how have they not just rotted away, man?
Well, actually, there's a really fun, there's a really good show that I enjoyed that actually it took a little bit of a realistic spin, but also had a very comedic spin. and I'm saying this now before I say the title of it. Shut up, Ethan. It's called Zed Nation. Um, it's
It's
basically
not Zed.
it's Zed.
We're
It is
not. We're
Zed.
not
It
having
is
this
always
fucking
Zed. It's always
discussion.
been Zed.
We're having this discussion.
No, we're not
right
having
now.
this. We were having this discussion before the podcast. I'm not having it on the podcast.
It's not Zed. It's Z.
But
You don't
anyways,
say Zebra, Zebra. You say zebra.
It's been
We're
so
not
long.
doing this.
It's been so long since we've had a podcast, and we're going off the rails. But fuck it, Jake, keep this in.
You guys get this for free. It is okay. Do you say Zedibra? Here's even more fitting. Do you say zombie? No, you've been saying zombie this entire fucking episode.
it's almost as if that's not how language works.
No, that's not at all.
We're not going any further with this. My point is the show actually takes an interesting view in what happens when the zombies get to a point where there's not much. You shut your mouth. There's not enough. There's not enough human beings around in addition to wildlife, so they actually start eating each other and attacking each other because this is the type of zombie that still needs to sustain itself on something. Okay, well, if the humans are smart and are wise enough to actually avoid these groups and are actually learning how to survive, and you've eaten all the wildlife, or the wildlife is able to avoid it. What happens to the zombies? Do they starve? Do they start to fall apart like they do in Walking Dead?
Going to like another classic fantasy monster that people love pulling out of their hat. The vampire conundrum of if vampires kill all the humans, what will they eat?
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
If there's, well, that's kind of the whole thing, is that at that point the world just ends, and that's kind of what the main plot in a lot of it is, that it's basically another form. You know, there's a lot of different forms of apocalypse, and another form of just extinction. You know, zombies is just a way to show a form of extinction in a way, because, like, you know, sooner or later, one of two things happens in every type of zombie media, whether it be game, movie, TV show. Either the humans are able to fight back, find a cure, or at least like find a new way of life to survive in this world, or the zombies just exterminate all life, and that's just the end of it. It's just wipe the slate clean, basically.
Or the zombies
that's kind of
brains.
Yeah, I mean, because that's kind of the direction that Dead Space takes with the Brethren Moons. I mean, that's where we left off with Dead Space 3. It's like you're gonna have. I'm still hoping. I hold out hope we might get a Dead Space 4 one day, but there's really no way that we've seen so far to take out a Brethren Moon when convergence happens with the necromorphs.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can go ahead.
You're not getting another Dead Space, dog. You're not.
I mean, we might get.
Stop lying to
We
yourself.
might get a Dead Space 2 remake, if anything else. But I mean, we can go ahead and talk like we can go ahead and talk about some of the sci-fi elements, because there's quite a bit of sci-fi that actually has zombies in it. Because you mentioned Dead Space.
Oh yes.
Like, Dead Space, because that's another big thing as well, is that when it comes to a lot of zombie media and how zombies are made, you know, sometimes it can be made from a virus, and sometimes, excuse me, it can also be used as like a curse or someone that causes it to happen.
Is Frankenstein sci-fi or fantasy?
I would say a mix of both. I mean, it's zombies in their in their enhanced nature, like we were saying before, is a very fantastical concept. Because it, like we were saying, it breaks the laws of what we know about biology, and it is something that can overall inherently not really happen. But it is you kind of have to break the rules to have the existence of zombies in a sense. So I would say it's fantastical. Maybe not fantasy, but fantastical.
Right.
But
well, one thing that I have found. Sorry, I just wanted to make a quick note, is that
No, you're good.
there has been a lot of like zombies within the scientific within the sci-fi realm. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just my lack of not having seen it too much of it personally, anecdotally. But there's not been too many zombie or anything in like medieval ages or the Renaissance period. There's a lot of going forward with modern day and sci-fi, but you don't really see too much with the hey, this is the back in the days of people only living to the age of like 45,
I
but now
mean,
you got to deal with zombies.
Well,
if you do want to bring up one, I did want to mention. I mean, going or how fantastical do you want to go? I mean, if
then
we're
we can go all the
going
way.
if we're going very fantastical into what you're saying, CJ, I cite the Lich King.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking more like in the realms of like The Walking Dead, like still on Earth, still on planet Earth, like just in a different period of
Oh.
time.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, we can bring up
Um,
another of your favorite series right here. I mean, would you count the Darkspawn from Dragon Age as zombie?
They're very much they are corrupted humans. But they don't. The Darkspawn taint is similar to a zombie bite.
Because
Because you can get infected by a darkspawn
well,
the same way as
because something that I would say, like when
zombie
it
can
comes,
bite you.
because there is a lot of there is like undead things in fantasy, but it's mainly due to they're mainly like controlled by other people, like necromancy. We talked about mages before.
I was gonna say it's mostly yeah. I was gonna,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's kind of a different story because it's usually someone who's manipulating them. Zombies exist, but they're kind of used as puppets. They're used as fodder and
there's a
bodyguards.
commander.
Yeah, there's someone that's kind of pulling the strings. It's not exactly in the same sense of a virus. It's more like, all right, I'm going to use this corpse to do my bidding, to protect me, or to just kind of use it in that regard. Because if we go to D&D rules, necromancers, you can raise a zombie to do melee damage for you, or you can raise a skeleton to do range damage for you. And all of a sudden, you got a little army with you. That's why necromancy is a kind of a pretty cool.
Yeah, I love necromancy.
Necromancy is you're not going to make many friends, but you're not going to make any alive friends. But who said you need anyone alive to help you
Yeah,
out?
I'm making plenty of friends. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, how we can also
Like,
you
there's
mentioned
this great joke I saw. Yeah, there's this great joke I saw of yeah, so I'm seeing this necromancer and she's really cool and whatnot, but she wants to raise a family with me. Oh, aren't you guys moving a little quick? Not really. They're buried right next to each other.
yeah. Well, that's the question. Is the
Yeah, you're all welcome. I'll be here.
God damn it. So, well, this is the
Is she a
real
cost GF? Yes.
this is the real question. It's like if you're in wizard school, is the girl necromancy class worth it?
Oof, that is a good question, sir.
All right, I think we found
But
our
it falls back on the.
I think we found our,
Go
our
on.
poll. I think we found our poll question.
Absolutely, as the meme says, her red flags are big, but so are her tits.
You know full well if the girl's in necromancy course is going to be a goth girl.
Well, naturally,
Well, yeah, of course,
Or they're going to be in conjuration.
absolutely. Will they be? In
Yeah, either or.
conjuration?
But
Right.
yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing about like fantasy is usually like someone who's manipulating it, someone who's causing it to happen. It's more of like a malicious person than it is a virus. We talk
Or
about
they're extremely mentally ill and they try to use necromancy as a means to communicate with a dead loved one, and that never goes well.
oh yeah, that never goes well. Don't do that, man. It's not
Oh,
good.
ugh.
It's not good, man.
Let them rest. It's not unhealthy, for the love of God. Ugh.
But I mean, that can kind of go into a little bit more of the infection stuff, which we can also touch on because, like we were saying before, like the traditional sense of zombies is that they're dead and they rise from the grave. But sometimes the infection type of zombies, this is when we go away from George A. Romero and go more into 28 Days Later, where it's the person is technically still alive. They just have this virus that is making them go insane. That is making them, and sometimes they don't even want to bite or eat. They just want to attack the person. It just makes them. The rage virus is a very classic case of that because it just makes them so enraged that they just want to rush and kill whoever's not infected. It's like a rabies like mind effect. And that's also where we get to our runners, our running zombies. Because like
Oh, God. Ugh.
the slow shambling ones are already terrifying, but then you make them run, and all of a sudden you gotta deal with these bastards, and especially if anyone who's played Left 4
You wake
Dead.
up in the zombie. Oh, no thanks. Ugh.
Yeah, and like
You wake up in a zombie apocalypse and you're left thinking like, oh, cool, this is the I'm in the walkie kind, and then you hear clicking.
oh yeah.
Oh,
You hear clicking, and
God,
all of a
no,
sudden
thanks.
that's some shit you don't want to deal with. But you got the rage virus, which is the classic case of running zombies. And dude, the opening, you haven't seen Weeks, CJ, right? But Ethan, have you seen Weeks?
No, days and years, but not weeks.
Okay, Ethan, have,
Same as our Canadian friend here.
okay. So for anyone who knows the opening scene of 28 Weeks Later, you know how well even then, you guys have seen Days. You know, like the church scene.
Yes,
Like that
it's
scene.
Yep.
It's so creepy.
Yeah, like that shit in general, like that really just gets your blood going just because it's like, oh, all of these guys are sprinting at me. And just the way that they move is very terrifying in a sense, and that's where it really differentiates itself. But also Left 4 Dead, which is very heavily inspired by 28 Days Later, it's a similar thing. The green flu in Left 4 Dead is a virus. It starts as a virus, and the people that you're fending off from, they're still alive in there technically. It's just like it makes them get pale skin. They have animalistic instincts and all this other shit. But there are also times where the green flu and these other viruses can cause you to transform into something that's even worse than a normal infected. Because
Oh God,
with
loaders, hunters. Ugh.
yeah, like the
Because
hold on.
that's another thing is the variation that comes out.
Yeah. Anyone? I'm gonna go ahead and give a Left 4 Dead character PTSD.
I was about to fucking play that. I had my mouse over that sound by like, hey, you're minding your own business in the zombie apocalypse, and all you hear is this.
Yeah. And that's the last thing you hear. Or you have the charger one, which I unfortunately don't have the charger sound effect. But that's when we get to like the mutated shit. And that's when things can get really terrifying with like the whole scenarios, because it's like, oh yeah, I survive a zombie apocalypse. Dude, a charger running into you with his giant masturbation arm, that's like getting hit by a fucking that's like you are getting hit by a fucking semi. You are not
Or
surviving
like
that.
imagine getting like shoulder checked by a plague ogre. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but no.
Dude, that's like already getting hit by a running back is gonna hurt. You think you're surviving that shit?
Oh, imagine an ogre sprinting at full speed towards you,
I don't want to be anywhere near that thing.
and
Like,
then they can't feel any pain because they're Nurgle corrupted. Also, take off your boxes, everyone. We mentioned Warhammer. A Nurgle corrupted ogre who feels no pain is sprinting at you.
oh yeah.
How do the rejects survive this?
We are just built
You
different.
don't.
We are built different.
We are just built different. We are four jackasses fighting for our freedom.
Never underestimate 4 dipshits that will do anything for a paycheck and or better gear.
Exactly.
But
I love Lethal Company.
Lethal Company is great, but when it comes to the infections, like the actual infection ones, because there's a few that we can talk about, and like Resident Evil is a unique case, but I'll get to that in a second. The thing about the infection type media is that usually it doesn't last that long. It's like it not all the time, at least. Usually it's going to be like a month, a year, a few weeks, because it usually takes place within a few weeks. Like Left 4 Dead 1 is 2 weeks. It takes place 2 weeks after the infection. And then Left 4 Dead 2 takes place a month. And then that's all we're going to get, because we're never getting Left 4 Dead 3. But it's within a
Valve can't count to 3. We've talked about this.
Yeah, I know. But I can also talk about Half-Life Zombies. CJ, shut up. I can talk about Half-Life Zombies as well, because I know your feelings.
Oh, right,
about,
CJ doesn't like.
I know your fucking feelings about Half-Life. I don't want to hear it, but like a lot of like those infections don't really last that long. which is interesting to see because the slow shambling ones, it's kind of fitting in a way. The slow shambling ones kind of play more of the long game, and they're able to last a lot longer. Where the fast ones, they kind of burn out quickly.
Well, I mean, they conserve their energy, so since they're not moving as quick. I mean, if you want to go back to old memes, because we love doing that, it's the case of the one gorilla versus 100 humans debate. Where,
Oh yeah.
Since the muscles on the gorilla aren't built for stamina, so it'll just burn and tire itself out faster. Or blue stars burn very bright and hot, but they last a fraction of the time. Also, I have found what I personally believe to be one of the first documented uses of, maybe not uses, but mentions and I guess uses in a fictional setting of zombie. And you all know them very well.
White Walkers?
No, before that. Well, before that. Centuries before that.
Okay.
Draugr.
Oh, like classic Draugr from Norse mythology.
Draugrs are from Norse
mythology.
Okay.
And I'm looking at, it's like, they're often portrayed as Norse supernatural zombies as depicted in games such as Skyrim. We can't escape it. We mentioned Todd.
We always get back to Skyrim.
Which is funny considering the fact that Morrowind's DLC, was it Blood Moon, actually had Draugr back in 2003.
What if Elder Scrolls 6 has a DLC set in Skyrim?
I mean, if it's rumored to be in Hammerfell, then I mean Hammerfell's not that far away from Skyrim, isn't it?
It would be really funny.
Let's actually, while you guys talk, I'm gonna pull up a map of Tamriel because Hammerfell is on the west
right now.
I mean,
yes,
Skyrim.
Hammerfell borders Skyrim.
Yeah, I mean, Skyrim had a DLC that took place like on the border of Morrowind, so I can definitely see it happening.
In Solstheim, yep. Solstheim's an island north of Morrowind.
Yeah, so you do. I mean, hell, aren't you like across the way of Vardenfell?
You literally are. I mean, one of the things I love about that DLC is the fact they even use the original soundtrack for Morrowind. I love that.
Oh, I do like when games do that. But I mean, well, we can go back to that since we're talking about fantasy. Like zombies in fantasy settings, they exist, but they're not really that big of a deal. It's not really
zombies are the quintessential fantasy. It's either goblins or zombies as your first encounter.
Yeah, because they're
skeletons, but those are the same thing.
Yeah, well, skeletons are a type of zombie in a way. I mean, they're undead corpses that are rising. They just have less meat on them. So it does make sense because they're kind of meant to be enemies. They're just kind of meant to be. It's like, oh, we got a zombie problem. Oh, okay.
It's remorseless. It's like, oh, okay, and like. Everyone associates zombies with disease, and if the wars in the Middle Ages didn't kill you, the diseases would, or the famine.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like we were saying before, some evil wizard took over and he has like a pack of zombies, and that's going to be like
wizard time.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucker.
But yeah,
fireball.
That's really kind of how it plays out with like fantasy media. They're just like another enemy. They're another type of enemy to fight. So. Because like a lot of fantasy settings are usually it's kind of like not really apocalyptic, but it's kind of it's more of like a war zone outside of kingdoms anyway, of like different kingdoms and different regions. So it makes sense.
And in a lot of situations, they're because you're bringing up the fantasy element and the medieval ages, and that the whole plague part of that comes in. It just in my opinion, I've always had a morbid enjoyment whenever the plague is brought into some media, and it's just something I really enjoy. So when you add the plague into the whole zombie aspect, to me it makes it more terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, because with zombies, there are very clear rules that, like, you see a zombie and you don't mention a plague, you think, okay, it can only be spread if a zombie comes in contact with me. The second you drop the P word, plague, disease, anything like that, then you automatically have to think, oh God, is this airborne? Mm-hmm. Can this spread through water?
Yep.
And then all the options of you possibly getting flatline chum and becoming a zombie just skyrocket.
And that's why a lot of the times stories will usually revolve around someone who is immune. Or at the very least, will be immune. Like the four main characters in well, 8 technically. The 8 main characters in Left 4 Dead, they are all immune in the worst kind of way, which because they have to be immune because the green flu is constantly mutating and is airborne. And the way that the characters in Left 4 Dead are immune, they're what's referred to as carriers. So they have the virus within them, but it doesn't affect them. But unfortunately, it affects everyone around them. So while they'll be okay, they'll get other people infected, which constantly happens because as soon as they get rescued by someone, that person turns, and then they have to start from scratch and find someone else to save them over and over again.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, so there's like a special type of like immunity that people have, and that's kind of the thing. I mean, that goes with like a lot of viruses because even in real life, some people just have immunity to different viruses, and not all the time. And like we can talk about Last of Us. Last of Us is a very famous example of that as well because Ellie is the immune girl. She's like the golden ticket for the apocalypse, and it's like the one chance to find a cure, potentially. Either that or someone gets their head bashed in with a golf club. But,
Or blown off with a shotgun.
Yeah, that too. But, we don't have to talk about that game or that show.
But hey,
but especially not that show.
No. This is talking about zombies, and despite their refusal to call them so, I do think the infected and zombies in Last of Us are really freaking cool.
They are cool. The whole idea, it is
Bloaters and clickers are sick, and spores are creatively terrifying.
Yeah, the whole idea of like a mushroom type of infection is definitely one that is very unique, and that's definitely something I want to get into when we talk about Resident Evil. But the whole idea of just like, because it does exist, like cordyceps actually do exist. They affect insects, right? And fish.
Ants, yeah.
Yeah, like they infect like other types of animals. So it is technically something that is inspired by reality, and it kind of goes in. It's like a mix, I would say. It like clickers are kind of a mix of the infected type of zombie and then the dead type of zombie. At least I hope they're dead. I mean, I've seen a bloater. I hope they're fucking dead in there, man.
You never know.
That's true.
Well, you look at anybody infected with Nurgle, and they don't feel it until they get that separation anxiety going.
Oh yeah.
It is. Yep. Fun fact: a Death Guard Marine was next to a Blank, a Sister of Silence, and they feel everything.
Dude, Blanks are terrifying, man.
No, thank you. I do not like Blanks. Not a fan of their kind.
Even if you're just a normal human being, Blanks just make you nauseated. Like, what does that do to someone who's got the extra psychic powers going on?
Yeah.
It makes psychers want to put a gun in their mouth.
I mean,
exactly.
Not even just psychers. Like even like a regular guardsman will be like, "Oh, fuck this," and just clock out.
Yeah.
Is that plus or negative aura?
I think that's like
negative.
By default, it has to be negative aura.
I don't know, man. Seeing that Sister of Silence walk up to that rampaging psyker, she looked so annoyed with him in that one scene. It's like, this again?
But well, I mean, like the further mutations that we see with like the bloaters in Last of Us, it goes into the idea of with Resident Evil as well, because CJ, you played Resident Evil, you played all the Resident Evil games as well, and there's some things that are more terrifying than zombies in Resident Evil.
Oh, the DLC for Resident Evil 8 and that specific attic section of Resident Evil 7, no.
But it's interesting because Resident Evil has both of where we're talking about like the fantasy aspect where there's someone who's like controlling them and they're using the zombies as puppets, but then they also have just like a virus. But the thing is that the viruses are always man-made as well, and that's kind of another big factor when it comes to a lot of the viruses and infections.
All right, guys, we got this incredible super weapon, bioweapon that we're working on.
It got out.
What?
It got out.
Oh.
Well, that's the thing about Umbrella. Umbrella Corporation are some of the biggest fucking idiots ever. Because
Shout out to Umbrella Corporation. Still not worse than Vault-Tec.
debatable, but yeah, you're right.
See, here's the thing. Umbrella Corporation's stupid. Vault-Tec does that for the love of the game.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. Oh,
Vault-Tec fully intends. They fully intend what they do in those vaults.
and we can talk
Exactly,
about. I'm excited to talk
It's
about.
not
ghouls,
a bug,
too.
it's a feature.
It's a feature, yeah. It's like I wonder what would happen if we just opened the vault door a little bit and let some radiation in.
Oh boy. See.
Oh man, fucking Vault-Tec is so funny. But Umbrella, like they're a pharmaceutical company, and they have a lot of different individuals that are hilariously evil or downright stupid. The two main, led by Spencer, Oswald E. Spencer, who is the
Where's
head
Shepard
dumbass.
fall on that?
Shepard,
Is Shepard not Shepard,
Wesker,
sunglasses, slick black hair.
Wesker, yeah,
Slick
Wesker.
back hair.
Wesker is
Wesker.
Wesker is
Shepard.
hilariously evil. Hey, this is Editor Jake. I just want to let you guys know that at this point we were having issues with Discord and there was a lot of delays when it came to the voices that were coming in. I've went ahead and edited it as best as I can to make sure that there's no delay, but if you're wondering why there's a lot of people that are talking at the same time, then that's why. Anyway, back to the podcast.
Okay.
Especially when you get to Resident Evil 5. He is hilariously
Hell yeah.
evil. Like, so the two main guys that we see throughout the games, or at least mentioned throughout the game, are or three technically. There's Spencer, who started the Umbrella Company. There's Wesker, who's like one of the titular members of it, as well as what's his name? William. And this happens with every fucking Resident Evil boss. They always inject themselves. They always fucking do it because they always think that they're gonna make these like medications or these things that are gonna give them superpowers, even though because there's a shit ton of viruses in the Resident Evil universes. Like there's the A virus, the C virus, the T virus.
Really? No kidding.
Ouroboros, Las Plagas. There's so many fucking viruses that it's hard to keep track of like every single one. But if we're talking about zombies, like Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3, those are zombies. Those are like traditional zombies. They're slow shambling. And the thing about Resident Evil is that they kind of break the mold a little bit, mainly due to the location that you're in, because we mentioned before that one zombie isn't a problem. One zombie is a problem when you're in a very tight hallway and there's not a lot of room to get past it, and you need to save ammo.
And it takes 12 bullets to bring them down. You gotta burn the body.
Yeah, like those motherfuckers.
Because I was gonna say, and it's especially a problem when the headshot doesn't take it down.
Yeah, because like one headshot is not taking it down, especially in RE2 remake. They make those motherfuckers tanky, and it's like, oh well, I just use a shotgun. You need to save those ammos, man. You need to those ammos. You need to save those bullets, especially one for yourself, just in case.
Yeah.
No, he's right.
But I mean, like, even going forward with that, there's some things that are more terrifying and worse than zombies. Look up a licker.
Oh, yeah.
Like sometimes the mutation can really go. There's this really funny post I saw where it's like zombie infections in other media, and it's just like infection go to zombie, and then there's zombie infections in Resident Evil, and the chart just goes all over the place because there's so many different
They
types.
do.
Because like you got shit like lickers.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, and it's like you also have stuff like the regenerators. You have like zombie dogs. So like the viruses aren't just affecting humans; they're affecting animals as well. Because we see quite a bit of different animals that are infected as well.
That's right. Fido is becoming a zombie.
Put the motherfucker down. All right, he'll thank you. So, but also sometimes these infections can cause like even have people with like mutated blade arms, because you got things like Mr. X and Nemesis, and you hear those footsteps getting closer and closer and closer, and you don't have a lot of ammo left, and you got to start running.
Which I will admit kind of got annoying. The more you play it, the more you played that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes.
I have seen some funny clips of I've seen clips of Leon pulling out a rocket launcher and Mr. X just walking away.
New game plus, Leon be like. But
Basically.
But then as we go forward, with the series, they kind of stop being zombies and they start becoming kind of more of like an infection type, where they're like barely even zombies. They're more just like mind controlled. Like the virus is just kind of making these people, and hell, they're even using weapons. Like Resident Evil 4 is when we start seeing just like these random villagers from Spain using like sickles, hatchets, like anything that they can find, like spears and
Oh, and
shit.
the chainsaws that go through the wall, and Leon has to do a backflip.
Yeah, it's the most unnecessary backflip in media. But yeah, they're like using tools. Like the viruses are like they're like evolving in a way, and they start to make these like what were once shambling and slow zombies into just people that want to kill. And now they're getting more intelligent with it as well.
Yeah, they are. It's terrifying.
But yeah, and of course it's always, there's always people behind it that are kind of like pulling the strings. It's like, I made a new virus. This one's totally gonna work, guys.
It doesn't work.
It never works, man.
Meanwhile, never
so if you
having
always
an
wanna talk
example
about,
of any time where it's ever worked.
I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, and I don't know if I'd call this one a zombie virus, but it's weird. It's a zombie virus without the zombie. So it's in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
The virus that's used as the prototype for the cure to Alzheimer's is first tested on apes, and it's then used on humans without realizing that it's got a full-on viral component that's super aggressive, and it mutates and it spreads rapidly to humanity. And then you see in the sequel, it's very much the world looks like it's post-zombie apocalypse. It's very Last of Us coded, and I just think that's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if I call it an undead apocalypse because it's really not, but it's just got a lot of like zombie apocalypse elements you see without the zombies.
It
I just
kind
want to
of
bring that up.
It works in a similar way because it's like it's causing this one entity to take over the planet while another one is dying out. And the apes, while they're obviously not zombies, they're
Correct.
the ones that are evolving from it. They're the ones that are like benefiting from it because they're getting smarter. They're taking over, and that slow kind of like quote unquote infection is like just evolving them as they take over the planet. But I want to also go ahead and talk about the military in zombie stories, and
Glory to the U.S. military-industrial complex.
yeah, exactly, and just how stupid they usually are in like every zombie media, which is always just very frustrating to see because the military like almost always sucks. Which is one thing I can appreciate about Resident Evil is that most cases, like we were saying before, the viruses usually get maintained. I mean, it may involve nuking Raccoon City, but at least it's maintained. Because that's usually the idea that the government has when it comes to any problem. It's like, hey, sir, this city is kind of fucked up with zombies. What should we do? Nuke it.
Nuke.
I'm fairly sure. Wasn't that also the what they wanted to do in Dying Light?
Yeah, they did.
Wasn't that their solution?
That was another solution. Well, that's always one. That's one of like the many solutions that the government will usually have. Like their solution to solving any of that. It's like, okay, we can't let it spread. We have to, like, it doesn't matter who's alive and who isn't. We have to like maintain this in some way. So let's just nuke it. They either nuke it or they send in special forces to just clear out all the zombies. Like
that was the same with Last of Us, where they couldn't really develop a vaccine for, since a fungus infection, it's not as simple as a bacterial, and so in order to at least slow the infection, they made the decision to bomb and nuke the known hotspots for the infection.
Yeah, because that way you can at the very least, like, those hotspots are now no longer a factor. You don't have to worry about like mass spread. and then it's going to be a lot easier to maintain at that point. But another one I want to talk about is Dead Rising, another zombie game made by Capcom, which has a little bit more of like a parody sense to it. But they actually like the military.
Yeah, it's more comedy in that.
Yeah, it's a lot more. But like the military is, I would say, marginally more competent, but that comes with them being a lot more corrupted because after the first, at least in the US, after like the first epidemic that happens in the US, which is in Willamette, Colorado, zombies kind of start becoming more of like an accepted thing. While it's not really apocalyptic, they become more of like a means of entertainment because in the second game, there's literally a game show called Terror is Reality, where contestants will they'll like corral a bunch of zombies together and make like contestants kill them in spectacular ways by using like motorcycles with chainsaws in front of them to kill them. It's like a source of entertainment, like a dark source of entertainment.
I mean, if zombies are as weak as is shown as what you're describing, it's just. This sounds disgusting, but it almost sounds like it's dogfights.
It basically is. That's kind of the whole thing. Is that it's like, hey, let's. It's more of like a. That's the thing about Dead Rising is that it's a little bit of a commentary on capitalism because if you can make profit from it, people are going to find a way to do it.
Oh yeah, they will.
So it's an interesting because there's always that commentary, right? There's commentary with a lot of zombie movies and zombie media. It's always about humanity. At the end of the day, it's about losing humanity, and sometimes it comes from like the decaying more morality that people have, where they just all they care about is their stuff and their survival, and they kind of become animalistic as well. Or it can just be how people can like become even more corrupted when these laws of society are lost.
Mm-hmm. I've been reading, on a slight tangent, I've been reading Deceased as of lately. I recently got DC Infinite, which is like a subscription service to read a massive amount of the DC Comics catalog.
Okay.
And this one is their response to Marvel Zombies, but done substantially better. And this one uses the anti-life equation. Do we know what the anti-life equation is here?
I do not know.
CJ, do you know?
Nope.
So the anti-life equation is, I don't want to call it a MacGuffin because by definition it's not a MacGuffin. It is the source of, it's an equation that Darkseid is after consistently. If you want to be layman and not be fully accurate, you could compare it to his Infinity Gauntlet that he's searching for, and he's searching to find all the stones and yada yada.
Okay.
And in this timeline, it launches a mask on the Earth, whatnot. Lots of people wiped out. War goes on for over a week, and he is ultimately defeated. But he retreats back to his home planet of Apocalypse with Cyborg secretly captured. And Cyborg, if you don't know, was created via a mother box in most timelines, at least in the modern ones.
Mm-hmm.
And a mother box is a piece of technology from Apocalypse that is extraordinarily powerful and filled with immense amounts of technology. And through the capture, they're able to extract the anti-life equation him. And what's cool about this one is that it's a technovirus.
Oh, okay.
And they do this. They summon the Black Racer, which is, for those of you who don't know, is, hang on one second, let me look him up real quick. The Black Racer is Death himself. He is the living embodiment in the Speed Force of Death, and almost no one has been able to flee him except for Eobard Thawne, Barry Allen, and Wally West.
So yeah, all the fast
and
people,
so,
basically.
Yes. The race shows up, and even he is scared out of his mind as to what's been unleashed.
Oh boy.
Death himself is scared.
Yeah,
that's always a good sign.
Victor Cyborg is sent back to Earth after Darkseid has been infected with the anti-life equation, Because the anti-life equation doesn't kill. It doesn't do something so cliche. What it does instead is far more subtle and genius. And what it does is that it removes all of your free will and makes you a complete slave to its desires. And it manifests in this timeline as a zombie.
That's actually, yeah, that's kind of a...
So Cyborg is to... Yes. When Cyborg is sent to the planet, he is naturally, he's a living computer, and so he spreads via the internet. And as well as him spreading, so is the anti-life equation. Like I said, it's a technovirus. So it's like an... How do I describe it best? It's like an AI spreading that can infect you.
Oh boy.
And
sounds like something
you go onto social media. You go into social media, boom, you're infected. You try to, go on to YouTube and watch something, boom, you're infected. You go onto the TV and watch something, boom, you're infected.
So it just gets
and
you. Like,
within
you're just screwed.
hours, Batman gets infected.
Yeesh.
And it's really bad. And it's a genius take on something as iconic as the anti-life equation to the DC universe, because it doesn't do the cliche, oh, it kills everyone. No, it is truly the inverse of life, which is zombies.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of a...
It's the inverse of life, which is zombies, and that's utterly fascinating.
That is an interesting way of doing it. Yeah,
I'm having a lot of fun reading it. I recommend it to y'all to read.
Okay. Well, because that kind of goes into a little bit more of like a sci-fi type of deal. Like, so do we want to go ahead and talk about, like, CJ, you want to go ahead and talk about Dead Space? Because you know you've been waiting for that.
Well, it's just like one thing that I'm not a big horror person. I've never. I used to have quite a bit of problems with nightmares when I was young, so horror has never really been my thing. But there's just something that Dead Space does that does it right for me, and I don't know if it's the whole marker insanity, the whole absolutely demented things people do because of the marker signal, and obviously it does buck the whole trend of being of being an infection or anything, because technically speaking it is an alien life form that turns a person into a necromorph, but it does still follow the line of reasoning of a dead body into something that is now, quote unquote, living.
Yeah. And that kind of goes in. That's a pattern that I've found with a lot of sci-fi, is that a lot of the infections in sci-fi are innately alien. They usually come from like an extraterrestrial type of thing. The same thing for, just to name a few, the husks that the Reapers have in Mass Effect, or the Flood in Halo. They're all started from aliens. Like, they're kind of going back to that whole idea of a tool that these like other alien creatures are using for their bidding. A little bit less so with Dead Space, because
and in all three of them you still have the common connection of a hive mind, or at least a hive, a queen, not really a queen, but a hive mind of some kind controlling them. Because with the necromorphs, you get rid of the marker signal, and the game says they just turn into this viscous goop.
Yeah, and that's kind of because that is kind of a way where there is an end game. There is like some kind of thing that can be defeated in a way, and it's kind of ironic that like the infections in sci-fi actually have more ways of like curing or solving this type of case than fantasy does. Because we talked before about how fantasy usually has a lot more uplifting endings, but yeah, that's kind of because you have, except for like the Flood, because the thing about the Grave Mind, you get rid of the Grave Mind, another one will eventually come in. Like, the Flood will always exist in the Halo universe. That's why the way that you actually solve it in Halo 3 is the Master Chief, he traps them. They're trapped on the Ark. So there is like a little bit more of that containment of like how can we contain this, how can we solve this, but also it comes down to humanity as well, because in the Dead Space universe, the thing about the markers, that's a lot of free electricity.
And that's how we found them out, is that we can find that they can power a lot of things.
And then we made one on fucking
And
Earth.
the reason we found them is because we were going to look out for resources. Yeah, exactly.
And we built one. They
Because
built
we were
one
going
on
out
Earth.
looking for resources.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's definitely a lot to think about. And then I mean, hell, the same thing happened in Halo. Like they stored the flood for research. And then
This totally won't come
Which
back to
never
bite us
goes
in the
wrong.
ass later.
yeah. But I mean, the flood, it can be seen as like a very intelligent kind of creature, because you talk with the Gravemind in Halo 2, and it even like mentions, because the whole thing about the flood is that they are, because the Covenant mistakes the Halo rings as like these holy relics. In reality, they're weapons of mass destruction that the Forerunners, because the Forerunners were fighting a losing battle with the Flood, and they knew they weren't going to win. But they had to save the rest of the galaxy, so they built the Halo rings, and they're like, okay, this is going to exterminate all life, but it's also going to starve the Flood of its food source, and we need to make sure that the Flood doesn't infect the whole galaxy. So that's why they built the Halo rings, for that reason, because they basically made the ultimate sacrifice to prevent that from happening.
And you know what? You bring back worship, and then you have the Unitologists worshipping the markers and the Necromorph. So it's kind of like humanity goes hand in hand with that.
Yeah, it's always like this misguided truth in a way of like they're kind of misguided in worshiping these different types of creatures and thinking that this is the evolution of humanity. And I'm like, I don't know, bro. I don't want to turn into a flesh monster.
Yeah, I don't want to turn
I
into
don't,
a
I'm
flesh
good.
monster was arms sprout out of my back with blades attached to it. I don't want to do that.
No, I'm good, bro. I'm good.
I prefer my blades just to pop out of my arms. That's it. Mantis blades, baby.
I fucking love forearm blades.
They're so cool. They really are.
But we can also go ahead, because it's a little bit different when it comes to both the we can talk about the voteless in Helldivers, but we can also talk about the husks in Mass Effect, because both of those are, in a way, they're basically like biochemical weapons in a way. So the
God, yeah, Voteless are God. They drown you in numbers.
Yeah, because the whole thing about Voteless is that they are basically zombies. They're like those fast-running zombies, but the Illuminates are using humans to mass this whole army of people.
Really? Yeah, that just. Ugh.
They're so. How do they go from being the semi-peace lovers of Helldivers 1 to becoming this absolute horrifying monstrosity of an army to, oh yeah, that was our fault.
What are you talking about? Humanity could never be the
Kinda.
bad guys.
Sure, man.
Humanity-
Absolutely. We're never
Humanity
never
could
the
never.
bad guys.
Humanity could. That's some very undemocratic shit I'm hearing right now, Ethan.
In some universes, we might even say it's very heretical thinking.
Yes, it is.
But yeah,
I've seen what you want to play, CJ. You're the most heretical out of all of us.
I know.
is
I
true.
take that with stride.
But yeah, the voteless, they're like big hordes of people, and they're big hordes of zombies, and yeah, burn them up. Get that flamethrower, soldier, and burn them to ash.
Flamethrower, breaker, incendiary, or hey, we both love the stalwart.
Oh fuck yeah!
Shout out to the stalwarts. Just
All right, face the wall,
Burn.
boys. Firing squad, let's go. But
spray and pray. Yeah, I'm firing over 1,000 rounds per minute. I'm going to hit someone.
I don't know who it is, but
It's
I will,
100% accuracy.
exactly. It will hit everything that I'm in that direction. That's 100% accuracy.
Yes.
But the husks are like that too, because like the Reapers will come in and they'll be like, all right, well, we need to basically like clear this whole planet off. So we're gonna have these weird alien impaling devices, like one of my favorite lines in Mass Effect 2. Where they basically just impale humans, turn them into these like robotic aliens in a way, and they just have them wipe out the rest of the humans so that they can absorb them and into their tube.
Well, that's one thing that's
The two.
so interesting is that only does the Turians, the Quarians, everyone else the Reapers go after has a different purpose. Like the Krogans, the Turians, the Quarians, they are all turned into different things. It's just humans that get the raw end of the raw end of the deal on that one.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like how in Resident Evil there's very different types of infections and different types of creatures. Like there's a lot of different. The Reapers have a lot of different types of creatures that they can create. Like hell, you look at the Asari, and it makes sense because Asari are very attuned to biotics. Which is the magic in Mass Effect. They're attuned to biotics. They're attuned to a lot more of like this higher power, especially since they live like for thousands of years, and they turn into these things called banshees. And the banshees are some of the toughest enemies you'll fight in Mass Effect 3. So yeah, they all.
Oh, I will give credit to the Krogan Turian hybrids.
Go on.
Yeah, they.
It took a lot of. Hang on, gotta write something down right here.
There's a lot of that.
It took a lot of me not to start screaming Bionics.
Bionic.
It took a lot of me not to start screaming Bionics.
Bionic.
It took a lot of me right there, dude.
I can't.
Oh!
I wish I could yell, but I can't. So it's a
No,
lot,
that's cool.
but since we're talking, I mean, we're talking about sci-fi. We're talking about sci-fi zombies. There's actually a few cases of zombies in Star Wars, both that we've seen.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, like both of what we see on screen, but also what we see in the books as well. In terms of what we see on screen, there's a reason there's a reason I'm glad the Geonosians are extinct. Okay, Kiadi-Mundi did nothing wrong.
And look,
Yes.
Cal Kestis, I get it. You want a Knight System? No, thank you.
Listen, we were just talking.
No.
We were just
I've seen what they've
asking.
done.
We were just asking if the Necromancer girl, a GF in the Necromancy class was worth it. All right, Karth or not Karth, fucking Cal made it work. But going in the top.
Oh, yeah, right, he did.
But I mean, going back to what we were saying, like the two that we
Glad
see,
Geonosis is dead.
the two that we see in the Clone Wars, you know, we see zombies in the sense of literal infection, like a worm-like infection that the Geonosians do, and they try to infect Luminara with it, and then all of a sudden, Anakin and Obi-Wan were like, "All right, Ahsoka, Barriss, go back to go. Don't worry, guys, go back to Coruscant." And they didn't know that one of the clones was infected, and all of a sudden you're trapped on a ship with a bunch of infected clones. It's looking a lot like Dead Space right now.
Ugh.
It's like Dead Space meets Resident
I mean-
Evil.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
there's those. Do any of you guys know about the Star Weirds?
I do not know.
CJ, do you know about them?
I feel like the name rings a bell.
So the Star Weirds are something that's kind of growing in popularity with the Star Wars community. They're not zombies at all, but they're creepy as hell. They're creatures that live in the dimension,
In which dimension?
and they will sometimes board a ship. Yeah, the hyperspace dimension, where they go in order to achieve hyperspace.
Okay.
And they will. There are reports of them boarding ships, and the entire crew just vanishes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I remember seeing people like talk about that on social media, and I just commented, the children yearn for 40K warp travel.
But
Yes.
yeah.
I
Well,
love
mean,
it.
Because the other type
You brought up like the undead, and that's just one of the creepiest things, and it's just no one knows anything about them. All they know is that they received a message consistently looping and saying that's broadcasted out from the ship saying they are here.
I mean, isn't that
They are here.
that's kind of the plot of
They are here.
that's kind of the plot of Event Horizon in a way.
We're leaving.
One of the best lines in that movie. But the other type of Star Wars zombies is going back to the fantasy aspect of it's witches and they're rising the dead. They're rising a bunch of zombies. Night Sister zombies are absolutely terrifying, and one of my favorite episodes is seeing General Grievous turn them into kebabs.
Yeah.
Oh, Grievous.
His one cool moment in that show.
Yeah, he really is the only cool moment.
Is this your leader, CJ?
Goddamn Seppi.
You know what?
Clanker lover. Wireback.
You and
Oil
I make no
drinker.
apologies for who I am.
these fucking clanker lover, not a good, honest fucking Republican
Dirty
boy.
Clanker.
You like the clankers. Anyway, but yeah, they're risen by witches.
Yeah.
Political differences aside.
The Night Sisters are doing some voodoo. They're doing some voodoo magic shit, and they're raising the dead that way. But one last zombie type from Star Wars that we can talk about. I actually have not read this book, but I hear a lot about it. The Death Troopers, I know, is a very popular book that people have mentioned a lot. It's a very zombie-like feel because it's literally just a whole ship full of stormtroopers, zombie stormtroopers.
That sounds
Everything on the ship, because
horrible.
I've read it, but I've only read it once, but I don't remember it because it was Wookiees too. Like it was zombie Wookiees. It was everyone that was on the ship pretty much. So if it wasn't just stormtroopers.
Okay, I haven't read the book, so I'm assuming you've read it.
I've read it once before. It's been a hot minute. I'm not gonna lie. It's been actually quite a few years, but I do remember one scene where that played out in the book for sure. Wookiees are confirmed.
Zombie Wookiees. That is. I don't like that.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah. That sounds
That's
like
a
bad.
terrifying thought.
That sounds like some bad news.
Something that big being infected. Ugh.
Also, it's kind of interesting because Death Troopers is Legends, right? Technically.
Well,
I believe so,
I have
yeah.
to see because Death Troopers do exist, but they're the
There's a black
armored stormtroopers from
Yeah,
Rogue One.
well, like Death Troopers before those Death Troopers. I'm
droids.
actually, yeah, I'm looking. No, I don't think they're droids. The Death Troopers are not droids. You're thinking of the other ones from Mandalorian. Those are like higher up.
Dark Troopers.
Dark Trooper. Fucking goddamn it! With
Oh,
these
Dark Troopers. Yeah, I got them mixed up. Yeah.
fucking names, man. But you know what's actually one that I want to talk about? I just thought about it. You know what actually kind of has a little bit of a infected type of thing is Bionicle. The Rakshi.
Yeah.
Okay, elaborate.
You know how the Rakshi? Did you guys ever watch the straight to DVD Bionicle movies?
I don't think
They were
so,
great.
no.
Okay.
They were pretty good. I know Worf is in those movies. But the Rakshi, the whole idea is that they actually have like a worm in there that's controlling them. And they're actually kind of caused from like this zombie-like feel where they kind of have a little bit more of like that bidding to them because of Makuta. Was that the villain's name?
Makuta was
think
the
so.
main
That name
villain
rings a bell.
in the first movie. Yes.
Yeah, and he kind of activates them by using like these infected worms to kind of wake up these bodies that he creates for them. We got to mention Bionicle in the episode. Look at that.
Wait, are the
Borak
the
are the
same-
same, I think.
Oh yeah, Borak. Like they
are
actually.
these the same worms that the Paraka fire or the Paraka?
The Paraka,
The Baraki, that's the name.
the Baraki. I was about to say the Paraka are the
Baraki.
gangster ones. The Baraki, no, that's different from the Baraki. But even then, like Baraki, we can kind of mention them a little bit too because I mean that's going more into like the whole corruption type of thing. But I mean, look at the fucking Baraki, man. They look like zombies.
They do, and like those worms, I remember reading in lore. Those worms are mind controlling parasites.
Yeah, yeah. So there's quite some zombie aspects in Bionicle lore as well. Which let me just go ahead and say, Bionicle lore goes freaking hard.
It go deep.
For a kid's toy.
The Venn diagram of kids who grew up with Bionicle into Warhammer is a circle.
Yeah, yeah.
It just is.
I raised my hand. Dude, Bionicle was the shit. All right, we need a whole episode where we just talk about how awesome Bionicle was.
I miss it. I miss getting all 6 of them for Christmas.
About it?
A bit of both.
6 for Christmas, bro. I was lucky if I got like a couple.
I actually have like the full. I have the full
People said I was
2006.
Paraka
But
one.
there
Not
were
Paraka,
deals.
Mari.
The
Mari
Mari
was the best one.
Mari were definitely some of the coolest. But with that being said, do you guys have any other types of zombies that you guys want to talk about?
Are there any?
I think we
I'm
pretty
not
much
thinking
covered it.
of.
This is gonna be a bitch to edit
So
because
I
like
mean, if I'm going to go, I got something else I like to say.
yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Because this would be the second time that I bring up Percy Jackson. Monsters don't permanently die in Percy Jackson.
They go to Hades.
CJ
don't
knows
they?
what I'm referring to, right?
Isn't it kind of like
They go to the underworld and they hang on, let me check.
that kind of goes?
Let me check my sources real quick.
Okay. I mean, could that
Yeah, they always
possibly-
do respawn. Yes,
Okay.
they always do respawn, varying times depending on the strength of the monster.
Can he farm it for XP?
No, you can't. It's a one-time thing.
It's cringe.
You kill it once. You get the Minotaur horn like Percy, and then you move on.
Damn. All right, it's a one time.
Yeah, I'm sorry, dude. You can't grind.
It's a one time unlock.
Yeah, it's a one-time unlock, dude. I'm sorry.
God damn it.
Oh, wait, no, I got one.
All right, what you got?
I'm the only one who's played this game, and that saddens me. But Hollow Knight.
Oh, Hollow Knight's got zombies.
Well, the entire kingdom of Hollow Knight is let me check to find the right source. Is undergoing a massive infection. It's a massive infection just across the kingdom, and it's through the game.
Okay.
And so bosses you fought previously will become infected, and you'll refight them with new movesets.
Oh, okay. Well, that's actually.
And NPCs, if you don't do their quest line, can become infected and have their minds lost. Or
That-
sometimes they just will.
That actually does remind me of that because I mentioned this before, and I'm glad I got reminded of it. Ghouls and Fallout actually have a very interesting concept when it comes to like the whole zombie infected type of thing, because ghouls are not necessarily like zombies in the same sense that you think they are, because there are plenty of ghouls in the game that you can talk to. You can go up to them and be like, oh hey, you have like a normal conversation with them, and they are often ridiculed because they're ghouls. It's radiation, because they were exposed to the radiation from the bombs, and in a sense the benefit that you have from it is that a lot of ghouls are hundreds of years old, and in most cases were alive when the bombs went off in the universe. Unfortunately, it also makes
I'm not gonna lie. I was waiting for you to bring up Fallout.
yeah, well, I gotta get my quota. I gotta get my quota of Fallout lore.
Sure.
Lore dumping. And well, because in some cases it does cause from like because we mentioned Vault Tech, because Vault Tech are all often doing dumb shit as well, much like Umbrella. Like Vault Tech, there's 2 vaults where the experiment was, I wonder what radiation does to humans. And basically, what they do, they either leak radiation in, or they would they would have the door slightly open, and they would just slowly have radiation go in until the entire inhabitants of the vaults turned into ghouls. By the time that the player goes into both of these places, there's just a shit ton of ghouls, both ones that are still able to talk to you and ones that are feral. Because there's ghouls, and then there's feral ghouls. And feral ghouls are basically gotten to the point where their minds are completely deteriorated, and they attack anyone in sight.
Ah, Fallout.
I
We
love it.
love you.
And even ones
Yeah,
that
we
have ones that have gone so far into radiation, and they have like they literally glow green, and they literally are killing you with aura. They they explode with massive like gamma radiation whenever they're close enough to you.
Do I become the Hulk?
Sort of, yeah. I mean, they're not as
Not in this universe.
they're not as buff, but they do kind of have a little bit more of that. And then I mean, super mutants are a whole different breed because that's more of a creating like a mutation type of thing. But yeah, the ghouls are definitely like the zombie equivalent in Fallout. Even though they might not be the most traditional sense of it, they are the zombie equivalent. So it comes down to radiation as well, and
Yeah.
like classic kind of like post-war hysteria.
Oh, radiation. The
Mm-hmm.
best scapegoat for anything.
Exactly.
You want a green monster, ghouls, or a Spider-Man? There you go. There you have it.
Radiation.
Go nuts.
But
Great for you.
Yeah. If with that being said, you got anything else, CJ, that you would like to cover?
I think we've done a pretty good job so far. I think we've covered a lot.
All right.
We did.
This is gonna be a bitch to edit because I don't know why, but you guys are very delayed for me. But we'll figure that out. Don't worry. That's for future Jake to deal with.
Hi, future Jake. I hope you're doing well. Make sure you drink water.
This is where I put a caption that's like "fuck you" or something.
And to the audience, make sure you drink your water and make sure you eat your food, okay? To the few women that are listening, coffee is not a meal. You have a headache because you haven't eaten or drank any water.
Also, fix your posture, okay? I know you guys are slouching over. All right.
I just sat up in my chair.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Everyone
did too.
needs
I won't lie.
everyone needs that reminder. We all had to tell CJ a few weeks ago because he was like, "Oh, I just bend my back whenever I pick shit up." Well, who bothers like using their legs? And everyone was like, "Dude, use your legs. That's really bad for you."
Yes, folks, live with your
In
legs.
my
Don't be
defense,
like-
I have.
Don't be here's
Good.
moral of the story, don't act like a zombie, okay? That's bad for you. Don't act like a zombie. You
Don't
are
be
a
hunched
human.
over. Don't be slow. Don't be oblivious. Be straight backed, alert, and aware, and that'll help you survive.
And also don't be grumpy. I'm telling that to myself as well. Jake, you're
Okay,
editing.
good, just making sure.
You're editing this right now. Don't be grumpy. You better get this shit done. All right. I better see this in at least a week. Okay. But
All right, you heard it here first, folks. It is August 15th at 11:12 p.m.
I you know what? I'm gonna put like a post. I'm gonna put like a post fucking credit video on this one. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Realm Walker podcast. We had a great time. Sorry this one took so long, but we are back and we're gonna hopefully get back to semi-regular uploads unless this motherfucker disappears on us again. I'm looking at you, CJ.
So speaking of zombies, well, better get back to it.
Yeah, exactly. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, be sure to go ahead and subscribe. You can listen to this on YouTube, on Spotify. You can find me at Italian Jake on Twitter and Italian Courier on Instagram and Matt Italian on YouTube. Ethan, where can they find you?
SLDE Wilson 27 on Twitter and gamer_guy27 on Instagram.
And CJ, where can they not find you?
The one place I exist on the interwebs, Space Wizards United on Instagram.
And with that, we will see you guys on the next episode. Take care out there.